Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to the official Resonite Recap stream for the month of April. On this stream, we'll be going over all the cool stuff that happened on Resonite, all the new features that were added, all the cool stuff the content team has made, and at the end we also have our business team here who will have their office hours and be able to answer some questions as well. Let's get started. So over here we have Aegis from our content team. We have Bob the Good, who's our financial officer. We also have Geens from engineering and business. We also have Shifty from QC, and I think there was Zeru, it was right behind me, from the content team as well. And of course, I'm Brooks. So we're going to be going over a few topics today. One of the major releases, because April was a really busy month for us, we added a lot of new things. One of those was the settings UI and lots of new settings. We also added Google Pack support and native OS integration. The content team has made some new cool content and made a forum for community submissions. I just will go over that. We have some updates on the battle nights, and at the end there's the business office hours where Bob has prepared some analysis of our financials and how the company is kind of doing. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, definitely stick around. So going to the first topic, we have the new settings update. There's been something that's been worked on for a few months, sort of building the foundations for it, and in the month of April, it finally released, which not only means that we've got new fancy settings UI, which is much more polished than the previous one, and easier to use. There's a lot of technical improvements in the background, which make it very easy for us to integrate lots of new settings. And if I open my dash and go to settings, you see there's a whole new tab. There's a bunch of different categories. You've got audio settings. You've got a bunch of toggles, lots of different things to kind of control experience. This makes it much easier to use, but also thanks to the new system, we were able to add lots of new settings that people requested. So of course we have the classical settings like audio input. You can adjust your volume. But one of the big additions that a lot of people wanted is the earmuff mode. This is mode that if you enable it, if you have people talking around you, so for example, Aegis, can you just start saying something, making any noise,
something blah 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 blah
blah blah blah. And if I lower this and he's behind me, it actually makes him quieter.
Talking and talking and talking. I like OSC a lot because I'm going to start talking about that later.
Perfect, thank you. So this is really useful in very busy worlds where there's a lot of people talking around you. You can kind of better control your experience and make it less overwhelming. You've got a bunch of control settings. One of the things that people, for example, ask is so you can disable game paths when it's unfocused. You can adjust your mouse sensitivity. Those are new settings. The movement between left and right control was split, so you can change each one of them individually, whether you want it to turn or strafe or not do anything. There's also a bunch of user interface options. There's new notification settings. We can, get notifications when users are joining or leaving. You can get notifications when a new session started. Or if you don't like, seeing when people come online, you can, disable that as well. Going over some more settings, there's a quick photo capture. So that's when you capture photos like this, you can configure the resolution, you can configure time and duration, capture private UI. There's lots of new options to play with. Under devices tab, you also have a bunch of new settings for devices. For example, if you use trackers, you can manage your individual trackers. You can say for example, I want to freeze this tracking or I want to stop using this tracker. That's very useful if you if you have your trackers in the corner, they're charging, and you want to you don't want to be crumpled, you can just temporarily disable them without unmapping them. There's a number of other settings. There's Giggle Tech. I'm gonna be going over this a bit later. If I go to graphics, this is another very frequently requested thing. You can now adjust lots of quality settings. For example, you have texture quality. So if you have low VRAM, you can request all the textures to be loaded at, for example, half the resolution or quarter resolution. You can say, I don't want any textures higher than 4K. So if somebody has, lots of 8K textures, you can limit that on your end. And that will save both network bandwidth and it will save you VRAM. which can improve performance. You can adjust the resolution when you're in desktop. There's also rendering quality settings. So for example, per pixel lights, you can like increase or lower this to like improve lighting fidelity. So if you have like scenes where there's lots of lights and sort of meshes, like lowering this can help improve performance significantly in some cases. You can adjust the shadows. There's also, if you're using desktop, you can, this is a brand new setting, you can limit how much the frame rate is when in background. So if you're like using Resonite alongside Blender or other tools, it's gonna use less of our resources. And also a very popular thing, there's now motion blur. That's one of the things that a lot of people wanted, and one of the reasons like we prioritize this rework. If you don't like motion blur, you can like, you can turn it to 0. That's gonna completely disable it, or you can just adjust, how strong you want the effect to be. Same with bloom. So for example, there's like, some stuff that's blooming over there. So if I like lower it, you can kind of see on the camera. Actually, give me a second. I need to do this so you can see it. Because it doesn't affect like the rendering camera. So you can see how it kind of changes. And you also have like ambient occlusion that can also help save performance or adjust, it can adjust, how things kind of look. And there's also some anti-aliasing options. We also added new privacy settings. You can, for example, opt out of being in media metadata. So if somebody like, takes a picture of you like this, there's metadata in that picture. Where I would like where you are in the world, like, some information. And you can essentially be excluded from that. You can also hide yourself like in screenshots. Going further, we also have like security options. You can manage your hosts. And then there's also some network options. You can, if you, for example, like, playing from, you want to connect from Australia, say, for example, to US, oftentimes people like end up like, having issues with queuing. So there's now options where you can force yourself through a specific relay. So for example, Australian users, like it's very useful to go through the US West relay, which can help like with the networking performance. So there's lots of new options there as well. There's lots of new settings that have been added to the system, and there's still like more coming. One of the cool things is thanks to the new sort of foundations that we have, a lot of the settings that people wanted that were very difficult to add before, they've been very easy. For example, the EMRF settings that took less than a day to implement, and before it might have taken us, significantly more time. So going to the next topic, we have the Gigglepack support. This is a haptic device. It's kind of like a silly one. It's like made for like headpads. I have one sitting on my head right now. This has actually been like one of the kind of like, side issues, because like the settings rework and all the kind of fundamental work for that like was taking a lot of time. So the sort of like sometimes kind of like, we mix up like some smaller things that are just more fun to work on. And it's kind of like one of those kind of personal things. But essentially it is a haptic device that like vibrates when somebody pats you on the head. Resonite has a very generic haptic feedback system. And this device that essentially plugs into that, and it's very easy to use. It's very easy to set up because all you need to do is make sure it's connected to your network. And then in devices, there's the manage Gigglepacks. And you can see I have the Gigglepack disconnected. It's currently connected. I have the current intensity. You can adjust where it maps. So you can, put it in your head. You can put it, on your torso. You can put it on your arms. You can adjust how intense it is. But pretty much all you need to do is you just connect it. It gets detected. You say it's mapped to your head, for example, and everything just works. So like now, if like ages, if you give me like headpads, ooh, you see the actual activates, and I can actually feel that. This device is like natively supported. It's very easy to use, so like you don't really need to do much as long as you're using full body avatar. But as one of the sort of like nice kind of byproducts of the Gigglepack support, since the device itself uses something called OSC protocol, and that's also used in other platforms and with other kind of software to kind of communicate with devices and other programs, we've also integrated full like native generic OSC support. What it means is like you can use that protocol to very easily pipe data into Resonite or out of Resonite, and integrate it with various different devices. So this is essentially piping a phone gyroscope data into Resonite and mapping to the rotation of the cube. So you see like the cube in Resonite maps the rotation of the phone. And this literally took like a few minutes to like set up. Like the OSC protocol makes it very easy to like get the data in, or even get it out if you need to like communicate with other devices. And since this has been added, we've already seen a lot of not only the community, but also like some of our team members, like Aegis, for example, making lots of really cool things. Aegis would like demonstrate some of it, some of the stuff that we've integrated with it.
Well, using a application I found called TouchOSC, I was able to use like existing controllers that I have like laying around. Like I have an old Microsoft Sidewinder steering wheel and flight controller. I got those mapped onto a Xbox 360 layout, and using TouchOSC got them piping out data to pipe data directly into Resonite to say drive a vehicle, or you could probably even use your own hardware with OSC if you know what you're doing, to probably even use it for accessibility or lots of different reasons or use cases. Like I got my steering wheel right here, and that's the steering input. So when I physically grab my wheel and move it left and right, it'll actually move the data between two, like zero, -1 and 1 in this case. It is really cool that you can do this.
Yeah, eventually, like, I mean, the goal for a lot of devices is like, so we have like full native support, so they integrate well with our input systems. But what OSC does is like, if the native support does not exist, it gives you, like the community, the power to integrate those devices on your own, and iterate, prototype, and like build things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to. And that's the main thing about the OSC. It makes it very easy to just like pipe specific values, have them like influence things in the world. Everything is also like fully synchronized to other users, as anything in Resonite is. So it's just another method to sort of integrate other devices and programs with Resonite. It's also in addition to our WebSocket support, which a lot of users have been using, but which is still very useful for lots of different use cases. But OSC is another tool in the toolset which might be more suitable for certain like use cases. So next we have some content team additions. One of the additions has been made is that we have released the official document display for PDFs. It's actually like what we're using right now. So like I can like literally like show you. I can literally like show you, what I'm kind of using to read notes for this. So this is literally a PDF file. It was just like prepared before the stream. It was imported in, and it shows up like this. You can cycle the pages. You can select something to zoom in. I can reset the zoom. You also have pages option. So on the side, you have like little previews, so you can do like a little bit like sneak peek ahead. You can change the quality as well, so it makes it a little bit nicer to like use PDFs inside of Resonite. For the next one, there's the public folder submission form, and it's actually like we're all handed off to Aegis. So if you like could share a little bit more about that one.
So in the interim, before we have, say, a workshop system, the best way that we think would be best to share folders or items and avatars and even worlds as well. It's like we already got the worlds menu. That's where people can like make their own worlds for like avatars and such. This is just another avenue for people to share content with each other. I mean, you can share folders between each other, but we're just finding another way of being able to share with even new users as well too. It's a Google Forms form that we've made to have people submit their URLs for these folders, have us look through them, and set them in a folder. So within the base folder of Resonite Essentials, got tilted a little bit, under the community shared folders, and we see here so far what has been added in here as well. There'll be more over time, and yeah, it's definitely something that people can use to share their content.
There's also like links in the Discord. Like if you go into the Getting Started channel, you'll be able to like get the links there as well.
I would also like to add too is with how URLs for folders work, You can even paste them into like a text message and use them like a link where you can paste them directly into Resonite and it'll spawn out the folder object in front too. And that's another way of you can share folders with each other.
So that's pretty much like it for this topic. We can move to the next one, and this is some of the stuff for the Battle Knights.
Battle Knights is still being in work in progress. The content team has been working with making a weapon system for the laser tag event as well. So this is still work in progress, but we got plenty of fun stuff to mess around with. With a whole bunch of weapons to mess around with. I'm gonna quick cycle through what we got so far.
It should be noted that what Aegis is using is the multi-gun, what we're calling it for now. Something that people will be able to play around with in the little Battle Lines thing.
A little grenade launcher. The sound effect is temporary at the moment. So yeah, we'll be setting up different mechanics for a game mode as well, and I've been updating a projectile system for them as well too.
It's very exciting. There's gonna be a lot of like, I'm very excited like for the Battle Knights, how it's gonna like, how it's gonna like, end up. If you want to like, more, you can like, keep an eye on the updates channel, keep updates on the devlog and our official Discord. There's always gonna be like, most up-to-date information on what the team is cooking. But this is very, very, very exciting, and the effects like look really cool.
Oh, and as well as we're gonna try to adapt the system to work with vehicles as well down the line.
Yeah.
As well.
I've been like seeing some of the stuff that's been cooking. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I think that's pretty much it for this one, for like, preview for the Battle Knights, which brings us to our last topic. We have the office business hours. We have Gaines over here from business team, and we also have Bob, our financial officer. So would you guys like take it away?
So this month for business, it's been relatively quiet. We've mostly been looking into where we can expand certain market verticals, so we can use Resonite in even more places. So we've been looking at that recently. And I believe Tom has a financial update for our first fiscal quarter.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Bob, and I'm here to bore you with math. Some of you may remember me from our initial launch stream, and many of you have met me inside Resonite. I was brought on the Resonite team a half a year ago to help manage Resonite's financials. My current day job is a leadership position at a major bank in a department that focuses on complying with government regulations on the ethical treatment of its customer base. So please be assured that I take both jobs very seriously. I was asked to join the monthly recap streams because the Resonite team also takes transparency very seriously, with our finances perhaps being one of the most important topics. The support of the community and our patrons has allowed us to build a platform, and those supporters deserve to know where their money is going. I promise to keep this information both at a high level for the layman to understand, but also go into enough detail to paint a complete picture. If you'd like additional clarification, please join us during our business office hours on Discord. So our first slide shows our 2024 Q1 breakdown of our financials in a simple pie chart. We had $76,000 in gross revenue. The majority of this was Patreon subscribers, but we've had a small and growing amount of education licenses through universities we're partnering with, alongside work being performed with the European government to help deliver virtual reality training solutions. As mentioned in the previous recap stream, and as you can see on our website regarding licensing, we will be allowing companies, institutions of higher learning, and governments to partner with us to leverage the Resonite platform in many wonderful and interesting ways. Additionally, we will be adding a small business license in the near future to allow even the smallest of creators access to some of the rights and tools to build their own businesses. Keep in mind, Resonite will always be free for individual users and student projects. So breaking down our costs by category. Our largest is payroll. We want to make sure everyone on the Resonite platform will have a roof over their heads and food in their fridge. They are being paid in actual real money deposited into their bank account every month to ensure they can meet their basic needs. As we grow our revenue out, we will want to ensure payroll constitutes about 40 to 50% of total gross revenue. This means as you increase your contributions, about half of the money will be going directly into the pockets of the people building that platform. I and a few members of the team have waived compensation for 2024 to ensure that the people most in need are taken care of first. Our next major category is cost of sales. This represents Patreon's cut. I will go into more detail of what is occurring in the next slide, but this represents an extremely large portion of our business expenses that will be addressed in a variety of ways that I'll detail in a moment. The next is cost of marketing. We have begun working with the content creators for sponsored videos. The first one by Tavo you might have seen last week. Our hope is to spend more money on marketing, but we plan on keeping the combined cost of sales and marketing between 15 to 20%. As we lower our platform transaction fees, we will have more money to spend on getting the Resonite name out there and new users on the platform. After sales and marketing is our cost of goods sold, a fancy name for keeping our servers online. We anticipate this number will be maintained around 5 to 6% as we scale up the company, which is a good thing. Legal and accounting are next, and they're necessary expenses for any serious company. Resonite has both a law firm and an accounting company that we utilize. While we do our best to keep our costs low, it is essential that we maintain both our contracts and our financial records with the highest ethical standards. One of the last categories is miscellaneous operating expenses, which occasionally come up, but we do our best not to waste money. The $400 in question might have been for 100 cupcakes in the shape of the Resonite logo, but that's neither here nor there. There are no other expenses in this category for the first quarter, and none currently forecasted in the second quarter. The last and perhaps the most important category is EBITDA, which means earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Yeah, those are the cupcakes right there. So for EBITDA, this is just another fancy word for profits. Frooks, as the founder and sole executive of the company, uses this number to pay himself. While being profitable in the first quarter as a new company is an amazing accomplishment, we will grow this number to ensure that Frooks himself will have enough money to live comfortably. $3,784 is not a lot of money over 3 months. As our costs are mostly figured out already, an extra dollar given today will most likely be going directly towards supporting Frooks. Once his base needs are fully taken care of, additional dollars will be spent on raising the standard of living for people working on the Resonite team and possibly expanding the team in the future. This next slide contains a monthly breakdown of our actual patron revenue alongside Patreon's cut. As you can see, when we first launched, there was a lot of initial excitement in the platform, and we received very generous contributions from our Patreons. Our number of patrons has remained flat over the past 6 months, but people have been right-sizing their tiers to fit their data storage needs. This was expected. With MMC's conclusion and our UI update, there's been renewed interest in the platform, and you can see our sales increasing in the month of April. At the end of April, we received a small bump as new users joined the platform after seeing Tavo's video. Special shout out to both him and the mentors working with our new users on getting them acclimated. Now, unfortunately, it's time to address the elephant in the room. Patreon is a wonderful platform for supporting individual content creators. It is not necessarily an ideal platform for supporting a growing business with many mouths to feed. The sum of Patreon's platform fees, transaction fees, and currency fees total over 14%. This is not equally distributed by Patreon tier. For our lowest $1 tier, Patreon is taking 23.3% of that dollar. This means once you factor in the cost of maintaining a user, a $5 Patreon subscriber is not 5 times as helpful as a $1 Patreon subscriber, but it's actually closer to 7 times. The higher the Patreon tier, the lower the relative transaction costs. Now, there's a couple solutions we're looking at. The easiest and quickest solution is to offer an annual subscription. we are being charged a lot per transaction, and it would be more profitable to give out a discount for the lower tiers for an annual subscription than to charge every month. That means you will save money and Resonite will save money. More information to come soon. The second solution we're exploring are alternative payment providers. This would not be instead of Patreon, but in addition to Patreon. This would allow additional users that want to support us, but for some reason cannot use Patreon. The costs we've been looking at are around 5 to 6%, which is much more reasonable and will give us money to focus on sponsored content and covering the team's living costs. When this option becomes available in the upcoming months, we kindly ask you to transfer to the newer payment provider if you're able to. That's all I have for this month. Please feel free to join our business office hours for additional information and stay tuned for future financial updates.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. Like that was like an excellent overview. So thank you very much, everyone, for for presentations, for helping answer questions, and talking about our platform.
You're
Thank
my
you.
love now. We're having soft tacos later.
Thank you very much, everyone. In the chat, for watching, and the community for helping us build this platform. Your support on Patreon, your support by making lots of content, your feedback, which help make which help polish up the settings UI and lots of other features. It's helping this platform a lot and make it into a better place for everyone. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you with the next next
I love
stream.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.